The dusty attic window, grimy with decades of neglect, offered a sliver of weak morning light that struggled to penetrate the gloom. It illuminated motes dancing in the air, a silent ballet of forgotten particles, and, more importantly, the trembling hand of Elijah's 78. As he reached for a small, leather-bound, the journal, brittle with age, felt impossibly heavy, each page a silent scream from a past he had tried and failed to bury. His breath hitched, a dry, raspy sound in the stillness of the room. What secrets did these faded pages hold? What echoes of a life unlived, a love forsaken, would rise to greet him? Elijah, a man whose face was a roadmap of deep-set lines carved by time and sorrow, settled onto a worn wooden stool. His gaze, once sharp and commanding, now held a haunted, distant quality, fixed on the journal. He traced the embossed initials, E.M.+C. A ghost of a smile, thin and fragile, touched his lips, quickly vanishing, replaced by a profound sadness that seemed to deepen the shadows beneath his eyes. He opened the journal to a random page, the delicate paper crackling like dry leaves under his touch. His eyes, though clouded by cataracts, still recognized the elegant, looping script of his younger self. The date at the top, July 14, 1943, pulled him back, not to a memory, but to a vivid, visceral reliving of a choice, a single, devastating moment that had rippled across 75 years, shattering 3 generations. The scent of dry paper and forgotten lavender filled the air, a potent elixir of nostalgia and regret. He read aloud, his voice a gravelly whisper, "My dearest Clara, the world burns, and yet in your eyes, I find an ocean of calm. This war, this monstrous beast, threatens to consume us all, but it cannot touch the love we share. I promise you, my heart, I will return. We will build our life on the hill overlooking the valley, just as we planned." He paused, his voice catching. Clara. The name itself was a melody, a lament. She was a vibrant, laughing woman, her spirit as bright as the summer sun, her hair the color of burnished copper. They had met by the old oak tree, its ancient branches like welcoming arms, a silent witness to their burgeoning love. Their future, a tapestry woven with dreams of children, a small farm, and quiet evenings by the fire, had seemed so certain. But certainty is a fragile thing, especially in times of war. The draft notice arrived like a death knell, tearing through their idyllic bubble. Elijah, young and idealistic, felt the pull of duty, the fervent belief that he must fight for freedom. Clara, however, saw only the gaping maw of war, the endless list of young men who never returned. Her plea, tearful and desperate, echoed in his mind. "Elijah, please, there are other ways. We can go north to Canada. We can start anew. Our love is stronger than any war." He remembered the raw anguish in her eyes, the way her fingers had clutched his uniform, as if she could physically hold him back from the precipice. And he remembered his own stubborn resolve, born of misplaced pride and a sense of obligation. He had dismissed her fears, convinced that his return was a foregone conclusion. He had made a choice, not to flee, not to defy, but to march into the unknown, leaving her behind with a promise that felt hollow even as he spoke it. The war, of course, was a brutal, unforgiving beast. Elijah found himself thrust into the horrors of combat, the screams, the mud, the constant gnawing fear. Letters from Clara became his lifeline, each word a balm to his scarred soul. She wrote of the blossoming spring, of the quiet strength of their community, of her unwavering love. He wrote back, censoring the atrocities he witnessed, trying to paint a picture of hope and resilience. But then, a letter arrived, different from the others. The handwriting was not Clara's. It was from her younger sister, Martha. The words blurred through his tears, but the message was stark. Clara had fallen ill. A virulent strain of influenza, sweeping through the region, had claimed her. She had waited for him, holding on to his last letter until her final breath. The world tilted on its axis. The vibrant colors of his memory drained to a monochromatic gray. The war, which he had believed was his duty, now felt like a cruel, cosmic joke. He had chosen country over love, and the cost was immeasurable. He returned home, a ghost among the living, carrying not just the scars of war, but the crushing weight of a promise broken, a love lost. The old oak tree stood, stoic and indifferent, its leaves rustling in the wind, a mournful whisper of what might have been. He visited Clara's grave, a simple stone cross, the grass around it overgrown. He knelt, the cold earth seeping into his bones, and felt the chill of utter desolation. He had been so sure he was doing the right thing, so convinced that his sacrifice was noble. But what nobility was there in a shattered heart, in a future extinguished? He carried that question, heavy and unanswered, for the rest of his life. He tried to move on, to rebuild. He married Anna, a kind, gentle woman who saw the pain in his eyes and offered quiet companionship. They had a son, Daniel. But Elijah's heart, a fragmented mosaic of grief and regret, could never fully open. He loved Anna in his own way, and he loved Daniel, but a part of him remained forever in that field, under that oak tree, with Clara. Daniel grew up under the shadow of his father's unspoken sorrow. Elijah, consumed by his internal battle, was present but distant, his gaze often drifting, lost in memories that Daniel couldn't comprehend. Daniel longed for his father's full attention, for a shared laugh, a spontaneous hug. But Elijah was a fortress, impenetrable, his emotions locked away. He channeled his energy into his work, becoming a respected, if somewhat austere, figure in their small town. He provided well, but emotionally, he was absent. This emotional void left a deep imprint on Daniel. He yearned for connection, for a love that felt unconditional and present. He found it, or so he thought, in Alicia, a whirlwind of passion and intensity. Their relationship was fiery, tumultuous, a desperate attempt to fill the emptiness Daniel felt. They married quickly, driven by a fierce, almost frantic desire for belonging. Their daughter, Sophia, was born into a home vibrating with unresolved tension. Daniel, mirroring his father's emotional distance, struggled to connect with Sophia. He loved her fiercely, but his own emotional, inherited from Elijah, made him guarded, often retreating into himself when confronted with the complexities of fatherhood. Alicia, feeling neglected and unloved, eventually sought solace elsewhere. The marriage crumbled, leaving Sophia caught in the crossfire, a child of divorce, carrying the legacy of brokenness. Sophia, in turn, grew up with a deep-seated fear of abandonment, a yearning for stability that eluded her. She watched her father, Daniel, grapple with his own demon, his quiet melancholy a constant present. She saw his pain, but he never articulated its source, never explained the generational shadow that loomed over their family. The unspoken history, the ghost of Clara, continued to haunt them. Elijah closed the journal, the faint scent of old paper clinging to his fingers. He looked out the dusty attic window again, the world outside a blur of greens and grays. 75 years, 3 generations, all touched, all subtly shaped by a single choice he had made as a young man. He had believed he was choosing honor, duty, country, but he had inadvertently chosen a path of profound, lasting sorrow. He had never spoken of Clara to Daniel, never explained the depth of his loss, the reason for his emotional reservoir. He had shielded Daniel from the pain, or so he thought, but in doing so, he had denied him the understanding, the context, of their family's emotional landscape. Daniel, in turn, had passed on a similar emotional reticence to Sophia. The silence, the unaddressed grief, had become a family legacy, stronger than any heirloom. A soft knock on the attic door startled Elijah. It was Sophia of 45, her face creased with concern. She had come to help him sort through old boxes, a task that had become increasingly difficult for him. "Grandpa Elijah, are you all right? You've been up here for hours." Sophia, a woman of quiet strength and deep empathy, had always felt a profound, unspoken connection to her grandfather, a sense of shared melancholy. She had often wondered about the source of his profound sadness, a sadness that seemed to echo in her own father, Daniel. Elijah looked at his granddaughter, really looked at her, and saw not just the echoes of Daniel, but a flicker of Clara's spirit in her bright, intelligent eyes. A profound realization washed over him. He had protected his family from the truth, but in shielding them, he had also robbed them of the chance to understand, to heal. The time for silence was over. He gestured to the journal in his hand. "Sophia, sit down. There's something I need to tell you. Something I should have told your father, and is before him. It's about a choice I made a long, long time ago." Sophia, sensing the gravity in his voice, pulled pulled up a small wooden crate and sat opposite him, her gaze unwavering. Elijah began to speak, his voice gaining strength as he unburdened himself of a lifetime of unspoken grief. He told her about Clara, about their love, about the promise he made and the promise he broke. He spoke of the war, not as a hero's tale, but as a crucible of loss and regret. He described the emptiness he felt upon his return, the way Clara's memory had burned like a phantom limb. Sophia listened, her eyes welling up with tears, not of pity, but of profound understanding. The pieces of the family puzzle began to click into place. The unspoken sadness, the emotional distance, the pervasive sense of loss, it all stemmed from this one pivotal moment. As Elijah spoke, the dusty attic seemed to transform, no longer a tomb of forgotten things, but a crucible of truth. He confessed his regret, his enduring guilt, the heavy burden of a love lost to circumstance, and a youthful, misguided sense of duty. He spoke of his love for Anna, his gratitude for her patience, but also the enduring ache for Clara, a wound that never truly healed. He admitted his shortcomings as a father, how his grief had created a chasm between him and Daniel. Sophia reached out, her hand gently covering his. "Grandpa," she whispered, "it wasn't your fault. You were a young man in an impossible situation." But Elijah shook his head. "No, Sophia. I had a choice. Clara begged me to go north, to choose our love. And I didn't. I chose what I thought was right, what society expected. And that choice, or rather, that lack of a choice, cost us all." He explained how his inability to to articulate his pain, had inadvertently set a pattern for Daniel. Daniel, seeing his father's stoic silence, learned to internalize his own struggles, leading to the breakdown of his marriage and his emotional distance from Sophia. The weight of the world, had been passed down through the generations, silently, invisibly. "I see it now, Sophia," Elijah said, his voice raw with emotion. "I see how my silence, my inability to grieve, created a ripple effect. It's a wound that never quite passed down from one generation to the next, festering beneath the surface." Sophia, for the first time, understood her father's quiet struggles, his occasional outbursts of anger, his inability to express deep emotion. It wasn't a flaw in him, but a legacy, a wound inherited from a grandfather who had loved deeply but had never learned. The revelation brought a strange sense of peace to Sophie, a clarity she had unknowingly sought her entire life. The mystery of her family's emotional landscape, the subtle undercurrent of sadness, was finally, it was a painful truth, but a liberating one. "Grandpa," Sophia said, her voice steady, "it's not too late. Not for us. We can break the cycle." Elijah looked at her, a glimmer of hope in his weary eyes. "Perhaps," he murmured. "Perhaps." He picked up the journal again, this time with a different feeling. Not just regret, but a newfound purpose. He had to share this with Daniel. He had to bridge the chasm. Later that week, a strained but pivotal conversation took place in Elijah's living room. Daniel, initially resistant, his arms crossed, his face a mask of skepticism, listened as Elijah, with Sophia by his side, recounted the story of Clara. He spoke of the lost love, the impossible choice, the decades of regret. Daniel, a man in his 50s, still carried the emotional scars of his childhood, the yearning for a father he never truly knew. As Elijah spoke, Daniel's defenses slowly crumbled. He saw his father not as a distant, stoic figure, but as a young man, heartbroken and lost, grappling with an unimaginable loss. Tears, long held back, finally streamed down Daniel's face. He understood now. The quiet melancholy, the emotional distance, it wasn't a lack of love, but a reflection of a profound, unresolved. The conversation wasn't easy. There were silences, moments of raw emotion, and the painful acknowledgement of decades of unspoken words. But it was a beginning. Daniel, for the first, truly saw his father, and Elijah, for the first time, felt truly seen by his son. The weight of 75 years began to lift, slowly, agonizingly, but perceptibly. The healing, though long overdue, had begun. Sophia, observing the fragile bridge being built between her father and grandfather, felt a surge of hope. The generational wound, though deep, was not incurable. Months passed. The old oak tree, its leaves now a riot of autumnal colors, stood sentinel over the valley. Elijah, though physically frailer, carried a lightness he hadn't known in decades. He spent more time with Daniel and Sophia, sharing stories, not just of Clara, but of his life, his struggles, his quiet joys. He even started to write again in the journal, not about regret, but about reconciliation, about the fragile beauty of healing. Daniel, in turn, began to open up, sharing his own struggles with Sophia, breaking the cycle of silence. He sought therapy, understanding that the generational trauma required conscious effort to overcome. He started spending more time with Sophia, truly listening, truly connecting. He even visited Clara's grave with Elijah, a silent acknowledgement of the woman who had shaped their family's destiny. The past wasn't erased, but it was finally acknowledged, integrated, and understood. The lost love, the war, the generations of unspoken pain, they were no longer a burden, but a story. A testament to the enduring power of human connection and the possibility of healing, no matter how late. The scars remained, a reminder of what was lost, but they were no longer festering wounds. They were now marks of resilience, of a family finally finding its way back to itself. This story, like so many others, reminds us that choices, even those made in the crucible of youth, can echo through generations. It shows us the silent cost of unspoken, the profound impact of love lost and regret unaddressed. But it also offers a glimmer of hope that it's never too late to heal, to connect, to break the cycle. What choices have shaped your life and the lives of those you love? Is there still time to mend what's broken? To speak what's unspoken? If this story resonated with you, if it made you reflect on your own journey, on the choices that linger in your memory, then subscribe to Pure Emotion, Life After 50. Activate the notification bell so you don't miss our next profound story. Share this video with someone who might need to hear it. Let's continue this journey of reflection, healing, and understanding together. The journey of healing, as Elijah, Daniel, and Sophia discovered, wasn't a sudden destination, but a continuous path. It was paved with small, deliberate acts of vulnerability and understanding. Elijah, for instance, began to visit Clara's grave more frequently, not with the heavy weight of guilt, but with a lighter heart, a sense of quiet communion. He'd bring her favorite wildflowers, a simple gesture that spoke volumes of his renewed affection. He'd talk to her, not about what could have been, but about what was, about Daniel, about Sophia, about the unexpected joy of seeing his family reconnect. These visits, once a source of acute pain, transformed into moments of peaceful reflection, a way to honor her memory without being consumed by it. Daniel, in his therapy sessions, began to unravel the intricate tapestry of his own emotional land. He realized how much of his guardedness stemmed from a deep-seated fear of abandonment, a fear amplified by his mother's sudden departure and his father's subsequent emotional withdrawal. He learned to identify these patterns, to challenge the automatic responses that had governed his interactions for so long. His relationship with Sophia blossomed as a result. He no longer saw her questions as intrusions, but as invitations to intimacy. He started sharing his day with her, not just the facts, but the feeling. He'd tell her about a frustrating meeting at work or a funny anecdote from his commute. And for the first time, he felt truly seen, heard. Sophia, in turn, felt a profound sense of relief. The wall between them, once so formidable, was slowly crumbling, brick by painstaking brick. They started taking long walks together, hand in hand, a simple pleasure they had rarely indulged in before. They rediscovered a shared love for old movies, spending evenings curled up on the sofa, their silences comfortable, their laughter genuine. The generational trauma, they realized, wasn't just about the big, dramatic events, but about the subtle, insidious ways it seeped into daily life. The unspoken expectations, the subtle criticisms, the fear of vulnerability. These were the threads that wove through their family history. Breaking the cycle wasn't about erasing the past, but about acknowledging its influence and choosing a different path forward. For Elijah, this meant actively participating in Daniel and Sophia's lives, offering unsolicited advice less often, and instead, offering a listening ear. He even started cooking again, a skill he had abandoned after Clara's death, finding quiet pleasure in preparing meals for his family, a tangible expression of his love. One evening, during a family dinner, A seemingly innocuous comment from Daniel about a difficult decision at work sparked a deeper conversation. Elijah, instead of immediately offering a solution, simply asked, "How does that make you feel, son?" The question hung in the air, unexpected and profound. Daniel, for a moment, was taken aback. He hadn't been asked that question by his father in decades. He paused, then slowly, tentatively, began to articulate his anxieties, his doubts. Sophia listened intently, her hand resting gently on his arm. Elijah, for his part, didn't interrupt, didn't judge. He just listened, truly listened, perhaps for the first time in their adult lives. This small moment, seemingly insignificant, was a testament to the profound shift occurring within their family. It was a demonstration of a new way of being, a new way of relating. The story of Elijah, Clara, Daniel, and Sophia is a powerful reminder that healing is a dynamic process. It's not a linear journey from brokenness to wholeness, but a spiral, revisiting old wounds with new perspectives, gaining deeper insights with each turn. The scars, as the narrative concludes, remained, but they were no longer festering wounds. This distinction is crucial. Festering wounds imply ongoing infection, a hindrance to movement. The scars, however, are marks of healing, evidence of a wound that has closed, leaving behind a testament to resilience. They are a reminder of what was endured, but also of what was overcome. Consider the metaphor of a broken bone. Initially, the pain is excruciating, movement impossible. But with proper care, with time, the bone mends. It may even be stronger at the point of fracture. A scar forms, a visible reminder of the injury, but the bone functions again, perhaps even better than before. Similarly, the emotional scars of our past, of lost loves and unspoken grief, can become points of strength if we allow them to heal. They can inform our empathy, deepen our understanding, and strengthen our resolve. This narrative also highlights the insidious nature of unspoken grief. Clara's death, compounded by the circumstances of the war and Elijah's subsequent emotional withdrawal, created a chasm of silence that spanned generations. Daniel, growing up in this environment, learned to internalize his emotion, to bottle up his pain. This is a common coping mechanism, especially in cultures that value stoicism or emotional restraint. However, as the story vividly illustrates, this silence comes at a significant cost. It prevents genuine connection, fosters misunderstanding, and perpetuates a cycle of emotional isolation. The act of speaking what's unspoken is therefore a vital component. It's not about assigning blame, but about acknowledging reality, about giving voice to the pain that has been hidden for too long. For Elijah, this meant finally articulating his regret to Daniel, expressing the depth of his love for Clara, and admitting his struggles as a single parent. For Daniel, it meant sharing his feelings of abandonment and loneliness with his father, and later, with Sophia. These conversations, though difficult, were the catalysts for change, the first steps towards dismantling the walls they had built around their hearts. Moreover, the story underscores the profound impact of choices made in the crucible of youth. Elijah's decision to join the war, driven by duty, was a deeply personal one. Yet, its ramifications echoed through decades, shaping not only his life, but the lives of his son and granddaughter. This isn't to say that youthful choices are inherently flawed, but rather that they carry significant weight. They are the foundational stones upon which the edifice of our lives is built. Understanding this can foster a greater sense of mindfulness in our own decision-making, encouraging us to consider the long-term implications of our actions, not just for ourselves, but for those we love. The narrative also subtly touches upon the concept of post-traumatic growth. While the family experienced profound trauma, their journey of healing led to a deeper understanding of themselves, stronger relationships, and a renewed sense of purpose. Elijah rediscovered his passion for writing, not as an escape, but as a means of processing and sharing his experiences. Daniel developed a greater capacity for empathy and emotional intelligence, transforming into a more present and loving father. Sophia, observing this transformation, gained a deeper appreciation for the complexities of family history and the enduring power of love. Their collective journey, though marked by pain, ultimately led to a more profound and meaningful existence. The question posed at the end of the initial segment, what choices have shaped your life and the lives of those you love? Is there still time to mend what's broken, to speak what's unspoken? Is not merely rhetorical. It's an invitation to introspection, a call to action. The story of Elijah's family serves as a powerful affirmative answer to the second question. Yes, it is almost always possible to mend what's broken, to speak what's unspoken, no matter how much time has passed. The human capacity for resilience, for forgiveness, and for connection is immense. The final sentiment, let's continue this journey of reflection, healing, and understanding together, reinforces the communal aspect of this process. Healing is rarely a solitary endeavor. It often requires the support of others, whether it's a therapist, a trusted friend, or, as in Elijah's, a loving family willing to engage in difficult but necessary conversation. By sharing these stories, by reflecting on our own experiences, we create a collective space for empathy and growth. We learn from each other's struggles and triumph, reinforcing the universal that while pain is inevitable, healing is always possible. The journey of Elijah, Daniel, and Sophia became a testament not just to their individual resilience, but to the collective strength of their family. They learned that love, though sometimes buried under layers of pain and unspoken grief, never truly dies. It simply waits to be rediscovered, nurtured, and expressed. The quiet joy they found in their renewed connections was not a replacement for what was lost, but a new, deeper kind of happiness, built on the foundation of honesty, vulnerability, and unconditional acceptance. Their story, in its quiet power, reminds us that even after decades of silence, the human heart can still find its way back to connection, to understanding, to love. And that, perhaps, is the most profound lesson of all.